right, guys, welcome back to the podcast, switching back and forth podcasts. I am Syed here with Stu, recording on a Saturday morning. Stu, what's up?
Oh, living the dream.
You actually living a dream, or you're just saying that?
Uh, both.
Okay. Would you like to expand on that, or
No,
okay?
no. We haven't recorded in what, a week. Uh, some stuff has happened since then.
Yeah, some stuff has happened in sports in the world. Um, I guess in our personal lives. So I was gone traveling. I left Tuesday night and then just got back in last night. I was up in Pittsburgh, which should we start doing city reviews? Pittsburgh, I don't know. Should we do
Bad.
city reviews? Do I
You
want
want
to
to
talk
do a
about
city review? Yeah, I can already
it? All
tell
right,
you. Pittsburgh. Can I guess? Like, it was gray. There's just gray
dude.
everywhere. And
Have you
yeah,
been?
no, I'm just guessing it's gray. And yeah, did I? It's gray. Just
It's
Pittsburgh review gray.
yes, no. Like I'm laughing because that was the first thing I was gonna say.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, my first time there, man. When they say Steel City, like yeah, like. But the thing is, I guess it used to be a bigger part of the city, but now it's like kind of relegated to like the outskirts of Pittsburgh, or like a very small section of Pittsburgh is still very gray. Then there's like a new part of Pittsburgh where there's like kind of high risey. It's like nicer, but it feels like just a generic city, like downtown area. Um, and then like the suburbs are pretty nice, but I think it's so cold up there that like everything is dead. So like it is pretty depressing. I can see like I'm sure springtime and summer it's nice to live there and drive around and
I
stuff.
I
But,
don't
like
I
the
don't think
winter
it
time
does.
was so depressing. It was very depressing driving around Pittsburgh.
No, I don't think it does.
Traffic
You know how
isn't
you know
bad.
how you know how movies, like, whenever they're in Mexico, they just, like, they put a yellow filter on everything, and it's
Yeah.
just like Mexico. I just picture with Pittsburgh, it's just gray.
No, no, it
They
really
put a gray filter. Yeah,
it's very gray. It's yeah.
yeah.
But like driving through, like when you're like I was on an interstate, I drove through actual Pittsburgh proper a few times. Like it's kind of like driving through Orlando. Like you're in and out of like actual Pittsburgh very quick, and then you're quickly in the suburbs. It's like a big sprawl, but like the urban area is pretty small. Um,
Did you
yeah.
investigate that hill that Jay Leno got beat up by?
So our job site was like in like the boonies. So I stayed in Latrobe, and then our job site was in Greensburg. And Greensburg is where Jay Leno fell. My coworker that I was meeting up with was staying at the same Hampton Inn
Yeah,
because he was like, and we were so I met him that breakfast, and we're sitting there, and what was it like? He fell like walking to somewhere, right? Where did he
yeah. Walking
fall?
walking to like a sports bar, taking a shortcut down
Yes,
a
yes,
hill.
yes. Okay, yes. So
Yeah. I think it was called Dino's.
yeah, this is insane. Drive. So I had to drive past that hotel because I had to drive through that town to get to my hotel. And I saw the Hampton Inn, I saw Dino's, and I was like, holy shit, that's where it happened. And then the next morning I had to come back there. And I was driving in to meet my coworker. I was like kind of scoping it out. I could definitely see it happening. It's treacherous, man. Being there now, like I can't believe Jay Leno's alive. Like it was hard to navigate around that space, and it was super hilly, and there's a bunch of hills. Like, God bless him, man.
Um, Anything else about Pittsburgh other than it's gray and you can fall down a hill?
um, Good Polish food. I went down to their strip district, which I guess is like their yuppie lib district. Good Polish food. Had some good French pastries. Good beer. So that stuff is cool, and it definitely like would be prettier when it's I guess when it's not winter time.
I
Um,
don't. I don't think it would be. I think it's just like that.
yeah, I don't know. I'll have to go back and check. Yeah, then I went to the DC area, DMV. DC's DC, flew into Reagan, hit DC traffic immediately. Um, yeah, but like the Maryland DC area is like Virginia area is nice though. It's like nice to drive around. The neighborhoods are nice. It's still like it's cold. I mean, it was the same temperature there it was in Pittsburgh, but there's like more life going around. Like there was like color, there was green. Like I don't know, it just like wasn't gray. Like
Yeah.
it literally was not gray. Even DC, like DC wasn't gray. Um, I think I definitely would move to Maryland. I don't know if I would want to live in Virginia because um their governor is the same. Like Youngkin is exactly like DeSantis. Um, so I don't know if that like I just want a 1-to-1 trade. I'm not saying I'm a super lib in Maryland. Maryland is definitely pushing very very blue, but it
Well,
seems just
the
not.
DeSantis is going to be the Secretary of Defense, maybe.
I can't believe this guy Pete Hegseth is still trying to like
I
do
did
this job.
I
He's
did see he apparently told a congressman that if he's if he gets through like uh, the approval process or whatever, that he won't drink while he's the Secretary of Defense.
yeah.
Like
So
that's
like
great.
this. So he just like he's not fit for the job, obviously, but like just basic stuff, right? So anytime, like he knew this was gonna happen. He knew that his background and all this stuff, like he knew he's done all this stuff, and he knows himself the best. We're all gonna come out whenever he try to take a public position like this that he was definitely not qualified for. They, Trump could have put him in some other spot, and he would have probably got in without an under scrutiny. But this is a pretty big position, so he's gonna get scrutinized. His response to anything that comes out about him is like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna do that again." So like, it's like, hey, like you have a drinking problem, and many people have said you have a drinking problem. Well, if I get this job, I won't drink again. So he's not denying that he has a drinking problem. He's
Yeah.
just like, you know what? I just won't drink again. Which I feel
Yeah.
like you're kind of confirming that, like, yeah, I have a drinking problem. So like, the easiest solution for me is to just not drink again.
But he learns from his mistakes.
Yeah,
You want to talk about some football?
yeah. I
Uh,
guess we should go into football.
yeah, rivalry week happened. Before that, let's get Miami out of the way. Uh, Miami found I've been telling you for like 2 weeks basically, or not 2 weeks, like 2 months that like the Syracuse game was like the game I was most worried about them losing
Yeah,
like this entire year. Um, Basically, like everything I thought kind of happened in that game. Their defense just couldn't stop anyone, couldn't guard any receivers, and Kyle Honda McCord kind of lit them up. Miami still had a chance to win. Xavier Restrepo had a fumble that was returned for a touchdown. Uh, Defensively, like they at least tried to play a few different guys this week, but they just did the same shit that hasn't worked all year, like scheme wise. And it's just I thought at some point like their defense would like yes, they're not going to be good, but maybe they could do something else. But they just did the same stuff and they just tried like two different guys at some positions. And surprisingly it didn't work. They still had a chance to win and then basically just lost on two penalties. And it was just the most Miami way to win. They're not going to make the playoff or to lose. They're not going to make the playoff now, and they've had their best player since like I don't know, like 2003 on their team, and they're going to have they're going to go to the Pop Tart Bowl.
you gonna come? You gonna come down and watch them? I'll go to the game with you.
No, no,
Yeah, I don't know what to add.
yeah, yeah,
You
and then
did exactly right.
then
But I guess,
and I felt bad on the one of their receivers who they almost like just dropped in their team last year. Um, had an unsportsmanlike penalty call against him at the goal line that put him in like third and goal from like the 25. And that guy had a bunch of penalties last year, had basically played this whole year. I think he's only had like one other unsportsmanlike penalty called against him, where you kind of figured out like, I can be an asshole and just not get penalties. And they called a very ticky-tack personal foul against him. He was on the ground and he popped up like in someone's face and then walked away. And that was a penalty. And that ruined that drive, made it so they basically couldn't score a touchdown, had to kick a field goal and get a stop. And then when they needed a stop, they jump off sides, skip a first down to ice the game. Yeah. Just horrible. I don't know. Like I said, I was worried about that game the entire time. but then they got up 21-0 and then still found a way to lose. Very annoying.
I guess it's annoying, but you said that like everything Miami has been the same team all year, and they're consistent. They didn't
Yeah,
do anything different than what you expect them to do.
yeah, but they got up 21-0 in that game, and I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna be fine. Nope, we're not gonna be fine. But yeah, their season's done. That sucks. Apparently, Cam Ward may play in the bowl game, which I think is kind of nuts.
Yeah, why not?
There's no reason for him to.
He's different, man. He's built different. He's about the game. It's not
Yeah.
about the
Supposedly,
stuff.
I haven't looked into it, but apparently there's people think that, I don't know, these more guys are going to play in bowl games this year for some reason. I don't know why. I don't understand it, but yeah.
It's
As far as
incentivized.
rival, what?
It's got to be incentivized somehow.
Yeah. The other rivalry games, nothing else I felt like was all that crazy, except Ohio State losing to Michigan. Ryan Day just looking totally and completely lost at the end of that game was incredible. Ohio State sucks. The Big Ten, I don't think is very good at all. Oregon's not going to win the national title. They're just not going to do it. They're not very good. Ohio State's not very good. Michigan is a terrible team. And Michigan should have won that game by like 2 scores.
I don't understand why Ryan Day cannot beat Michigan. That was the most shocking.
It's not that he can't beat Michigan. He's like 1-13 again, or not 1-13, but he's like 1-8 against like top 5 teams.
Man,
it's really bad.
Yeah.
And then all the flag planting at the end. All these games basically had flag planting at the end. Is very funny. It was also very funny to see Ryan Day just like totally by himself as like the captain of his team is like very emotional and being like, this is bullshit. Fuck those guys. And Ryan Day's just staring at him like as that guy's getting the shit kicked out of him. Yeah, he doesn't look. I was watching him. He doesn't look real, does he? Like his face and his hair and his beard, none of it looks real, right?
I mistake him for somebody else all the time. I can't remember who it is.
I can tell you, he just looks like a random computer like NPC from Call of Duty.
No, like from like NCAA, like whenever you have just a random coach, like AI generated coach,
Yeah.
he looks like an AI generated coach from a video game.
Yeah.
Like no personality and no anything. Like the NFL's got a bunch of them, but now they're kind of being a little more distinctive. But like Ryan Day is definitely one of them. Like
yeah, Zach Taylor.
Yeah, Zach Taylor, like Kevin O'Connell, kind of was like that.
Yeah, Mike McDonald.
Mike McDonald, yeah. There's a bunch of them. I guess Stefanski kind of, looks a little generic looking.
Yeah, but it's also the name too.
Yeah.
Like Stefanski has like that's a name, and you're like that name sounds organic. Like that name sounds real. Yeah. Ryan Day, Kevin O'Connell, Mike McDonald. Yeah. You go, those names are names, but they aren't real people names.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he's a joke. All the flag planting was very fun. Mike Norvell. Did you see him rip like the Florida flag down? I actually thought that was kind of funny.
No, I love it because like rivalry, it has to have a meaning. Like there's a reason why that exists. It shows passion. Now the other teams like the other team should be mad like if they're getting the flag planted on, but there is a point like, hey, like maybe don't lose that
win the game. Yep.
Yeah, try to win that game. I think like you should like I think getting violent is where like it's like, all right, guys, like is that really necessary? Like throwing punches and stuff is like where it becomes kind of stupid.
Yeah, and the cops pepper spraying players on the field was very funny.
That is insane. Somebody said that the only Michigan players were getting pepper sprayed, but I definitely saw
Yeah, no,
Like
it
everyone
was
in the crowd
it was
got
equal.
celebrated.
It, I feel like those scrums are not like they don't like immediately get violent. It's a lot of like pushing and shoving and like almost like posturing. And I feel like the cops were just like, boom, pepper spray immediately, break all this up.
No, I don't know. I mean, I think I saw a bunch of videos like people were throwing like it was getting pretty violent, and I think what
Uh,
happened was the cops. I feel like kind of put them in a disadvantaged position where they like kind of got in the center of it all, um, and they were like outnumbered very quickly, right? So like you push someone against their back, then they feel like they're threatened. Like I only know this because I've been in similar positions, like as a, like trying to handle a crowd full of people who are angry. Um, I just never pepper spray anybody, so I don't know.
yeah. uh, just let it. It's like a fire. You don't fight fire. We don't have people that fight fires. You just let them go out.
I mean, they used to just let shit happen. Remember,
Yeah,
like LeGarrette Blount was it LeGarrette Blount who was just knocking Boise State players out?
yeah. I punched someone in the face.
Dude, he
Uh,
dropped
yeah,
that O lineman. That was
yeah,
crazy.
uh, yeah. Just let it happen. Uh, let me see what else. Oh, the last thing I had on here just for college football this past week. Gus Calzone leaving. This was like a really weird story. So I saw during their last game, Malzahn did I think like after a quarterback threw an interception, like he'd already given up play calling and like OC responsibilities, which is like that's the first step of you're in trouble and you're about to be fired.
Yeah,
And like the quarterback threw an interception and he was talking to like the OC, the quarterback was, and Malzahn walks by him and did like the hand wave and like mouth like get the fuck out of here.
yeah.
So he had very clearly already quit on his team to go take the OC job at Florida State. And what did I just say about giving up like if you're a play calling head coach and you give up play calling in the offensive coordinator, it's the first step to things are wrong and the ship is going down. He's taking over the play calling and offensive coordinating for Mike Norvell at Florida State. Very weird move. I don't think FSU should be happy with this because Malzahn's not a good coach. I think I've been pretty critical of Calzone consistently. In his 4 years at UCF, I think they've gotten worse every year.
Yes.
If you're Florida State now, you can be assured that you're going to have a quarterback that is a better runner than passer. And you're going to wonder at times if your quarterback has ever thrown a pass before. And you're also going to wonder, why did we just run the ball up the middle 2 times in a row and then send all 5 receivers 30 yards down the field with no check down route and our quarterback got sacked? Because that's going to happen. That's going to be your offense. And for Florida State, I'm going to lay off Sirianni a little bit because he has one. I'm just going to wait until he does something really stupid in the playoffs to end their season. But I'll lay off him for now. But Mike Norvell is Nick Sirianni now. He's he's a guy that had success, and you're looking at it and you go, that's more probably that success had less to do with him and more to do with the players. But at this point, we don't have enough reason to fire him or enough money. And the thing he's supposed to do, which is be an offensive coordinator and offensive mind, he's not going to do that anymore. He's just going to be the CEO, and we're going to bring guys around him to do that. And we're gonna have to wait for an excuse to fire him.
Um, I'll say this: the comparison to Nick Sirianni. I think Nick Sirianni himself is realizing, if he has not realized, that like maybe I should not play call, and I actually am pretty good at just being the CEO type guy and just running the operations and being the rah rah, you know, guy, and let the experts that I've hired handle their jobs. And Sirianni, with the current record, has and less of this bullshit Sirianni plays that you see
Yeah.
obviously get called, is not as happening as frequently. Mike Norvell, I think, is just bad at everything. I think he thinks he should be a CEO, but he is, I think, bad at that.
Yeah, it's one of those things that at this point, what does he do? Because he doesn't recruit.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what he does. Was it just a fluke? The good success he had. Like Gus Malzahn, I can look at his trajectory and find I have an opinion on why he is where the reputation he has.
Oh yeah,
Well,
he has that opinion because they got Cam Newton, and Cam Newton had like the
it,
best single season. He was like the best college football player like ever that one year.
yeah, exactly. Cam Newton definitely, catapulted Gus Malzahn. I mean, but that Auburn team in general was really good. It wasn't just Gus Malzahn.
Oh no,
Um,
the Auburn
I
team
mean,
wasn't very good. It was just Cam Newton.
I think I had a good running back and stuff too.
Nope.
I
Yeah,
can't
name
remember.
one other player from the Auburn team.
Cadillac Williams.
Nope, that was years before.
Cadillac Williams was before Cam Newton.
Yeah, Cadillac Williams was like 2004.
Oh fuck. Well, I don't know
Yeah,
ball then.
yeah.
Um,
There was no one on that Auburn team
so
except Cam Newton.
yeah, so well, anyways, like, so that Gus Malzahn has a reputation. I don't think he's done shit anywhere else.
No, he
After
did
that,
that, and he was the coordinator, I think, with Newton, and then uh, he got to the national championship game where they lost to Ohio State that one year, or not Ohio State, Florida State, and that was just I think that was just a weird year of college football where everyone was really not that good. Um, I don't mean to rag on Florida State fans for that, but like that year, just like name another player from that year other than Jameis.
Johnny Manziel.
I was I think Manziel was the year before, right, when he won the Heisman.
I don't know. Anyways,
Yeah, it was just like yeah.
into the weeds now. But Gus Calzone at UCF. So
Also, one other thing,
he's following
Malzone's.
two coaches. Let me
Wait,
finish the damn UCF
no,
take
no, no,
before you jump into
no. If
this.
you know, because back to Auburn, I'm pretty sure the OC that year they did go to the national title. Their OC, I believe, was Rhett Lashley.
Is he good?
He's the head coach at SMU now.
Okay, that makes sense. There you go.
Yeah.
Um. Anyways, so he inherits a UCF team that was preceded by two pretty good coaches at the time. So Scott Frost had a lot of success and turning around that UCF team. Josh Heupel came in and tweaked up a couple things, but like Josh Heupel has success. He has shown to be like a pretty good coach. And he's continuing that success in Tennessee, kind of. Um, and yeah, like you said, Malzone inherits his team, and then it takes him what 3 or 4 years to like just turn UCF into a very bad team. Like each year they
Yep.
like um
They've gotten worse every year.
yeah, they've gotten worse every year.
Yep.
When they used to be like 4 years ago, like a pretty formidable team, and then we're recruiting well. Like besides on this team, the current team right now, besides RJ Harvey, I don't really know anyone that's like I don't know like
They
a guy. Like and
so
like
they had two good receivers at the start of the year, but they haven't had a quarterback again because of what how he wants to run the offense. One of them entered the transfer portal like halfway through the year, and the other one just doesn't have anyone throwing the fucking ball.
he's just like searching for another Cam Newton.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's not gonna happen.
Nope. He says my offense works. I just have to have my quarterback just has to be the biggest, strongest, fastest guy on the field. As long as my
Yes.
quarterback is that, we're fine.
Yeah. Somehow he's gonna find that Florida State.
Yeah. Good luck, FSU fans. Who do you think UCF should hire? I saw apparently they've interviewed Scott Frost.
Bring him,
Which would be
run
kind
it
of
back.
funny.
Run it back.
Yeah, actually, not a lot of evidence that Scott Frost is a good quarterback or a good coach. More evidence to say he's actually a very bad coach.
Yeah. Maybe Nebraska was too big for him, man. It's too much.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure he just kind of lucked out getting a lot of talent at UCF. He was only there for 2 years, and McKenzie Milton was very, very good. before his leg fell off.
Yeah. Ridiculous way to say that.
It's what happened. We do have some preview for this week, conference championship week. I don't know about you. I don't particularly want to watch any of these games, and none of these games feel like they matter. Like Iowa State, Arizona State matters because one of those teams gets in.
Yeah.
Clemson at SMU also feel like it matters because it feels like only one of those teams is going to get in.
Yeah.
But like Georgia, Texas should mean something, and it means nothing, right?
But I do want to
Kinda,
see it.
Yeah, I do want to see it, but it kind of means something. Like Penn State, Oregon, that game. I don't want to watch any of that. That means nothing.
Yeah, that's probably the least.
Yeah, I feel like
interest a lot.
these should mean more, and they just don't.
Well, like I think conference championships for like the Power Five is kind of like every year is being less and less. I feel like.
Yeah, as like it doesn't mean anything. I don't know. You want to talk about some of these playoff rankings?
Yeah.
Oh, I will say one of them.
I don't know.
Clemson.
I don't know what the rankings are, but I got to pull them up. Hold on.
Clemson is 1,000% going to win today, and they're going to be in the playoff, and I'm going to hate it. And Dabo is going to go after the game and be like, the only rankings I care about are the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. and they're going to be in the playoff, and I hate it, but it's going to happen.
Hold on. Where is this?
So the rankings come out. I don't understand them. And
I'm looking at them.
I say I do understand them, but I don't understand the committee's justification for it. It feels like they started this year and just said Alabama no matter what.
Yeah.
I just wish they were honest and just said, hey, we're basing this off the past 10 years or 15 years, and we think Alabama's a better team. And what happened this year, we don't really care about. We don't care that they lost to a 500 Vandy team. We don't care that they lost to a 500 Oklahoma team. We just don't care. And we're basing this off the past. And it's essentially all on vibes and storylines. And that's what we're justifying this on. That's all they have to say. They're trying to do all this shit. Basically, Miami is the last team out, which I don't know. They're not going to win anything. First team out, sorry. Alabama's last one in. Alabama has 3 losses. The Ward Manuel, I don't understand the committee because he's the AD at Michigan. And he's the head of this committee. That seems weird, doesn't it? I know it's always been this way, but it's weird, right?
I don't know. I feel like I think what you said it happens all the time.
Yeah. Anyways, he was basically like, oh well, their defense wasn't good, and they didn't finish the season strong because they had 2 of the last 3 losses, and they're like Alabama. They're basically like everything they said about Miami not doing enough, you could also apply to Alabama, because you could say like Alabama, Milroe sucks and their offense really isn't very good because about 75% of the time it looks like Milroe's never seen football. And they basically said like, oh, Miami didn't finish the season strong. Alabama, their last 3 games, they lost to Oklahoma team by 21 points on the road that has the 94th ranked offense in the nation. Then they beat Mercer and beat a 5-7 Auburn team. And apparently that's finishing the season strong. He also pointed out that against teams above 500, I think Miami was 4-2, and or maybe 6-2, and Alabama was 6-1. I think it was 4-2 and 6-1. But if you move that to teams 500 or above, Alabama's 6-3, and Miami's 6-2. So it's just like I understand that Miami didn't do enough to get in, and all they had to do was win against Georgia Tech or Syracuse. But it's also dumb because it feels like if Miami had just lost to Cal, and beaten Georgia Tech, they would be in somehow because it happened later.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, look,
And
all right.
and I just want them to get on screen and just be honest and go, you know what? We're basing this off narratives and vibes, and the past 15 years in Alabama we think is better. Instead, they try to justify it with all this dumb shit, and then they're like, oh, they don't have top 25 wins, but they decide the fucking top 25. And Louisville, Duke, and Syracuse should all be in the top 25, and they're not because they fucking made it. like, like it's ridiculous.
I think you're just too close to it, man. It's so much easier when your team's not even on the board to talk about this.
Yeah, but like you understand, and if you're saying like Alabama's 9-3 is better than Miami's 10-2, is Miami's 10-2 better than Indiana's 11-1?
I don't know. Could be.
You could very
Obviously,
easily make the case.
think so. The committee does. Listen,
It's
do I get to talk
it,
in this? Are you done?
no, I just want the committee to be honest. That's all. Just be honest. Don't lie. Don't try to justify it. Just be honest.
They're not going to be honest. They have no incentive to be honest. But also, my thoughts on this is in this setup, like any of these things falls into the categories. Like, not everyone's going to get satisfied with how everything shakes out, right? It's like not possible to satisfy everybody, but they could do probably some things to make it a little bit better. I think universally, like most football fans will kind of agree that Alabama doesn't probably need to be there, even though they had the history and whatever and blah blah blah. Like when it comes down to this year, Alabama doesn't need to be there, and they could easily. I don't know. I feel like right now Alabama could get bumped out, right? Like because if Clemson and
Alabama's going to make it. It's Alabama no matter what.
how do they get it? Like won't they get
If
bumped out?
SMU loses, yeah, Ward Manuel already said if SMU loses, they would have to take a close look at SMU and Alabama, basically, and that potentially SMU could fall out, which would be insane.
Yeah, that would be crazy. Because I thought
It's going to happen. It's 1,000% going to happen.
Championship games shouldn't matter in that sense. Like
Uh,
SMU at number 8 should not get bumped out.
It's going to happen.
So they would bump SMU out, put Clemson in at 8 or somewhere up there, and leave Alabama in.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I guess that gives SMU some more like it does give those teams motivation to play harder.
No, it gives SMU motivation to not fucking play today. They should just say
That
we're
doesn't make sense because
opting
they
out
want
of
to make it to the playoffs.
If they don't have another loss, they're in the playoffs.
I don't think you can not play though.
Why not?
Come on. That doesn't make any sense.
Why not?
Now you're living in a make believe land.
What like I get that, but like you're saying like SMU like they've played an entire season. Now if they lose, they're somehow not going to get in. What incentive do they like? So if they lose, let's say they lose this game and they don't get in, and next year they're in the same spot.
But you're assuming. Okay, you're making an assumption that Alabama's going to stay in, just because of what that guy said.
No, they are. I can almost guarantee you they are.
Okay.
Kalen DeBoer is the new Ryan Day. He's born on third and thinks he hit a triple, but he actually sucks.
Yeah, but listen, Nick Saban did the same shit every year too. He always got on national TV in his non-Alabama jobs and cried for Alabama to get considered.
Yeah, so every coach does that. I don't blame any coach for doing that. The difference is Alabama with Saban never had 3 losses. They would have like 1 loss. They'd be a very good team. And when they got in, they fucking won.
Yeah, but you don't think this Alabama team is capable of doing that?
No, not at all.
Listen, I don't know. No, I don't want to see Alabama in it, and that's I'm trying to put bias aside there, and but I get it why they're doing it, but I don't have to agree with it.
Yeah, that it is kind of stupid because like it's kind of between like Alabama, Miami, and to some extent Ole Miss. But Ole Miss has the worst loss of any of them because they lost to Kentucky.
Yeah.
But
Like, I mean,
what I don't get is the committee is just very vague about how they do stuff, and then they justify things, and they just like, well, Miami didn't have enough good wins, and they had 2 losses. And it's like, okay, well, the losses are actually not that bad because they were on the road to teams that were like that aren't bad teams,
so,
like really bad teams, and they were close losses. And they were like, well, Alabama, like they're like, yeah, they have a bad loss by 21 at Oklahoma, but they have a good win. So it's like they're like Miami's losses matter and Alabama's don't for some reason.
okay.
And it's just they just need to be honest.
If you listen, if you're gonna argue, if that's gonna be your argument, I don't think you're no one. You're arguing to nobody. No one cares. So, like, my advice to you is like you gotta kind of figure out like what you're in control of, right? So, like, if you're Miami, you can argue against the machine, and the machine is always going to win. The machine is just college football, powers that be. So Miami is like, okay, you don't put your destiny in the hands of someone else. Like, you have to. It's on you to be the best ACC team, and like out of like if you're looking at it, you've never seen any of these games. I don't know how to look at it, but like if you look at Miami, SMU, like you can't put Miami over SMU. SMU is currently the
No.
best ACC team in there, you know. So it's kind of, yeah, it's on Miami to have those two bad losses. Like,
Okay.
it's not saying you can't lose.
Okay. Why
Like, you have
why
two
isn't
in
why isn't
opportunity
it
bad
why isn't
losses.
it on Alabama to not have 3 fucking losses? To not lose by 21 points to a really bad Oklahoma team? Why doesn't that matter? That's the point here, where the committee decided that Miami has no room for error, basically, and Alabama has a ton. And that's based off of preconceived notions over how good the conference is, and that's it. That's all it's based on.
No, I think, it's tough because I'm looking at the ranking. It was like, okay, can you put Miami at 10-2 right below SMU? But then, like, that's not fair to Indiana, Boise State. That, like, the
Why
bottom
is
of
it
the
not fair to
bracket,
Indiana or Boise State?
because they're 11-1.
So who have they beaten?
I don't think, but like, you have to look at pure record too.
Uh, like you do have to look at pure record, which is why Miami should be ahead of Alabama. So it's just
Yeah,
the
no,
whole point of
I
this
yeah.
is they're basing this off of like narratives and vibes and feelings, and they're trying to justify it with facts. And the facts they're cherry picking, and like they're holding Miami accountable for one thing, and then not holding Alabama accountable for the same thing. That's the part that's dumb, and they just have to be honest, and they just have to go, we're just basing this on vibes and narratives in the past 15 years, and they just need to say that. And when I got pissed off like over the past few weeks about how they're doing these rankings, this is why, because I think there's a week where Alabama either had a bye or played Mercer. I think they had a bye, and they jumped 3 spots. So it's
Yeah.
the shit they do all throughout the year, and the shit they do by not ranking Duke, by not ranking Syracuse. Syracuse had beaten UNLV on the road, and I think had like the same record. And UNLV was ranked, and Syracuse was not. Like it's all this other shit they do to justify what they do at the end, and it's just it doesn't make sense, and it's not consistent.
I think football in general doesn't make sense either. Like, it has
I'll,
also hasn't been a very easy job for the committee to like to even do to like
I don't.
do this too either. I'm not giving them excuses, but I'm just saying it's easy for us to sit here and Monday morning quarterback all this, but um, we really don't know what their job is to figure out how to do this, and we don't know that criteria. I asked you to
I,
look it up, but I don't know if you looked it up.
no, they
You
have
did.
no criteria. No, their criteria. They've said before. The committee's been consistent in saying that we're going to be very inconsistent and vague, so that we don't really, so that we can use anything we need to justify any of our decisions.
Oh, okay.
And they
Yeah.
don't want to.
Oh,
No,
okay.
they said they don't want to box themselves into corners, so they're
Yeah, but that
purposely
they
vague.
didn't say just because so we can. You
Well, yeah,
added
they
that.
didn't say it like that. Yeah. Uh, I also like I was looking at it, and I was pretty convinced that Miami was going to make it because they would play Notre Dame in a playoff game, and then open up the next season in Miami against Notre Dame. And I was like, oh, this is definitely going to happen. And the committee took that away from us. Would you rather see Alabama at Notre Dame with Riley Leonard and Jalen Milroe, or Miami at Notre Dame?
Neither, honestly.
Miami at Notre Dame would have done numbers.
Sure. All right, let's move on to we're gonna end up talking about this the whole show.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
It's quick
NFL.
NFL stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think last week was the week we found out all the teams that were good and all the teams that were bad.
Yes.
Yeah. So like Jets, Bengals, Jags, Titans, bad. Like Eagles, Vikings, Bills, the Chiefs somehow. Just Steelers, good.
Yes.
You want to talk about the Eagles at all? They still haven't played anyone.
You're ridiculous. I mean,
you called the Ravens frauds 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I could say they're frauds, but that doesn't mean they're a bad team. I think that game speaks more about the Eagles than it speaks about the Ravens. The Eagles did exactly what they've been doing, and I've been saying it. I don't feel like a lot of people have said the same thing I have, at least on the national media that I've consumed. But the Eagles are very consistent. They don't score in the first quarter, sometimes the first half, either well or at all. They spend a lot of that time like figuring out the other team. I do think like they try things and they try to figure stuff out, and they see a lot that happens, and then they adjust and are a way better second half team. I feel like like they really like start scoring points and start shutting the game down. They kind of wear on the other team offense and defense until like it's like a bend don't break type of mentality for the Eagles, where it's like yeah, like we're gonna give up stuff, but we're really trying to figure out how the other team operates. And the Eagles are able to adjust where other teams I feel like haven't been able to adjust.
Yeah, I still don't think the Eagles have played anyone. I will say the Ravens, it's one of those things where like Lamar is the best player in the NFL somehow, but also not worried at all that they're going to do anything. And it was just one of those games where it's like it sounds dumb. This is going to sound a little Cal Cooperish, but other quarterbacks just figure out how to do more.
Yeah, like Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. Not like Jalen Hurts.
Who was a better quarterback in that game?
This is Cal Cooper talking. Yeah, you have to remember. So I'm thinking like Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins is a great example. It was the first guy if we go talk about last week.
I was just trying to think of white dudes. No, half of Mahomes, Josh
Jared
Allen.
Goff.
Jared Goff. Yeah, they figure out how to do this according to Cal. Yeah, for whatever reason, Lamar just doesn't do that. All Jalen Hurts figures out how to do is hand it off to Saquon Barkley.
I mean, that's not true because, like as I said, like you watch plays.
I'm just doing that to piss you off.
So, like a lot of people that I know that don't watch Eagles games, they complain like, "Oh, I hate that the Eagles switched to this option play style." But like that's just something they switched to when they realize, hey, like we can adjust that. Like it gives Jalen the ability in game to see how people defenses lined up and how they're coming after them. So he gives them the ability to just hand it off to Saquon, him keep it, or do a quick RPO or I guess it is RPO offense. But like dump the ball off or throw it deep to AJ. Like I feel like when they switch to that, that means that they're playing like a good defense and they have to like have Jalen that option. And as long as the O-line gives Jalen time, then our RPO offense works, and then when they're like beating the shit out of teams, they're not really running those options. They're just letting Kellen cook plays, or let Saquon just run the fucking ball down someone's throat.
Yeah, they haven't played anyone.
Okay. Can you say anything positive about the Eagles?
They've won a lot of games in a row, but they just haven't played anyone.
Come on, say something like legitimate about the Eagles. Like they got to be doing something right.
Yeah, they played bad teams. They
Oh,
scheduled the game right.
all right, I'm done talking about
Uh,
this then.
yeah, no, they're an above average team. I still really don't like. I'm not concerned about the Ravens at all. Like I don't consider the Ravens like a real team, and I don't really know why, but they're just not.
I just feel
And
like when it comes down to, like you said, like it's not just Lamar, but like the team just can't figure out how to win.
yeah, so I
Like
think
the Ravens could have easily won that game, but they just I don't know. Like
so. Yeah,
they
they just
let
don't.
the Eagles just stop them. Like I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean, like
the Ravens just don't win games like
yeah.
that matter. No, it feels like it's going to come down to like Detroit and Philadelphia, and Dan Campbell is going to do some weird decision that ends up paying off, and Sirianni's going to do something stupid that's not going to pay off. That feels like what we're heading for. And then the
I
Super
don't
Bowl is going to
know.
be
I
KC
mean,
Detroit, and Detroit's going to do everything they can to win and not win.
see, I think they're like Eagles are and Detroit are the same exact team basically. But I think Dan Campbell hasn't really paid the consequences for his bad decision making and like really faced like what the consequences could be. He's been kind of bailed out with some of his decision making this year so far because their team is so good. I think Nick Sirianni, at least I hope, I fucking hope that he's realized, hey, I really want to fucking do this off the wall bullshit right now, but it's not my call to make right now. And I feel like Dan Campbell will do that, and the Eagles hopefully will capitalize on that if they play each other in an NFC Championship game. Um, I don't know if Dan Campbell. I think I have the opposite view of what you're thinking.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, you can basically just flip whoever you think, whatever coach you think is going to do the dumb thing that's going to ruin the season. Uh, it's like 50-50 shot.
I would agree with that.
I would absolutely agree with that.
I think Dan Campbell is living on the high of like, hey, like fuck it, like my team will figure out how to, they haven't faced enough consequences. Like it was just that one game.
Uh, I see what you're saying, but I think Campbell's faced the consequences like a lot in his first few years there, and he's been pretty consistent, just doing the same shit over and over again, and it's all based on vibes for him, and I feel like he has a better understanding of the vibes than Sirianni.
But the guys, that's what I'm saying. I don't think Sirianni is even doing that shit anymore. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, he's not going to be able to help himself.
I don't know. Big Dom won't let it happen. I feel like
He's not going to be
Big
able to
Dom.
help himself.
I think like Dan Campbell doesn't have a Big Dom. Mike Norvell
Uh,
doesn't have a Big Dom. Everyone needs a Big Dom.
Dan Campbell's his
Dom
own big dom. Are you kidding me?
No, you need someone outside.
No,
That's the problem. He's too big. He's
Dan
too
Campbell's
big.
his own. His balls are big dom.
Okay.
Uh, last thing I had for the NFL most recently is I think Trevor Lawrence should retire.
Okay.
Nasty hit, fencing position on the field. He needs to retire. As you said before, uh, fencing position on the field, they definitely carted him off, like restrained and everything, right?
They should have.
Because yeah, but they didn't because that's not actually normal.
They
Yeah, that was a very dirty hit.
Hey, they did cart him off though.
Yeah, they didn't restrain him or anything. It's
They
just
did cart him off.
sorry he's not man enough to get up and walk after getting knocked out.
Okay.
But Trevor Lawrence should retire. It seems like his season's over. Like he's not going to play again. I think he went on IR.
Yeah.
That video is very funny because Lawrence was knocked out with his arms up in the air and just everyone was fighting around him.
It was ridiculous.
It was very funny. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence bust, worst contract in the NFL. He should retire.
Okay. No bias there. Did you see? Okay. Yeah, I feel bad for Trevor. I don't know if he should retire. I think needs to get out of Jacksonville. I don't know if that's going to happen though, since he has that nasty contract. Um, Tua, you see, Tua took some accountability. He said, "Hey, this year, like
Yeah,
we're good. We would have, we probably would be competing a little bit better if it wasn't for me being an idiot and getting hurt."
yeah, it's correct.
Okay, so I'm glad that he finally took accountability. Now you can take accountability for him, right? And say, "Yeah, Tua's right. Like he probably shouldn't run into someone's kneecap to knock himself out, huh?"
No, he shouldn't do that.
Okay.
Did I ever say it was a good idea that he got himself knocked out?
You were like defending him and saying that he should have less accountability than he should.
I don't think I ever said he should have less accountability than he does.
Okay.
I said if he was
You
healthy,
love living this
they would have a
revisionist history
winning.
when it comes
I,
to
I have no revisionist history.
Miami sports.
I, I, I never said did I ever try to like take the blame off him for getting hurt. It's just he got hurt. It was a dumb thing to do to run.
Okay.
Like I don't blame him in that situation. It was a fourth down. He was trying to run to get the first down to keep them in the game. Like he was trying to do something, and like that is good trying to do stuff, but he can't get hit.
And what about like the accountability of like he probably was concussed before getting into the game. He knows that. I think he's admitting that, hey, like I made bad decisions. Maybe I shouldn't try to come back and play when I'm still seeing Tweety Bird.
I do think he was concussed before that. I don't think he knew he was concussed.
How do you okay. I'm I'm done with this. All right.
Yeah.
Let's uh let's do our picks and previews.
Yeah.
And then we'll
This
do it right.
week sucks.
Yeah.
I'll just start Jets at Dolphins. Dolphins favored by 6. This should be a game where the Dolphins play a bad team and they look pretty good. I hope that this is a game where Aaron Rodgers just fakes an injury and decides he's done with the Jets. Yeah, I've got nothing. I don't particularly want to watch it.
Yeah, I don't want to watch this game either. I am gonna watch our game, Carolina at Philadelphia. Philly favored by 14. Hate this line. Carolina, I don't know. Like
They're
it's gonna
frisky.
be I think Eagles are gonna win, but I think it's just gonna be very close. I don't
Yeah,
know what's happening with Carolina where they're like playing very well and above what their record shows. Bryce Young looks like he's the number one pick and why he's number one pick. Um, Dave Canellis apparently is a hot, decent coach. I don't know. Hot as in looks wise. He's
yeah.
very attractive. I can see why he
Uh,
has infidelity problems. Um,
yeah, I don't think this game is going to be very close, but I don't think the Eagles are going to cover.
yeah, I don't. Yeah, yeah. For
Like
me, I mean,
I don't think the Panthers are going to win.
It would have to get silly at the end of the game.
Yeah.
It would be like Bryce Young throws like a pick six.
Did you see some better placed the largest bet of like the NFL season on the Eagles to win?
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, it's like 3.1 million.
Yeah, to win
Yeah.
$350,000.
Yeah, be very funny. Be very funny if they lost.
Yeah,
you can admit that. I think spin zone. It'd be better for the Eagles if they lost.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know if it'd be better for the Eagles to lose, but like they should win this game. But I feel like they don't need to get guys hurt and like compete. Like if it gets out of control, like I don't think we need to like lay it all on the line to try to win this game.
I can't
That
believe
makes
you
sense.
put that out in the universe.
I will.
All right.
Realistic. I care more about our playoffs, and like if we don't win the East, we're definitely a lock for wild card. I feel like we'll perform pretty well. So I'm looking at playoffs already. These last regular season games, whatever. I think as long as we win, we'll be fine.
All right.
The only game worth watching this week. You gonna talk about that?
Yeah, it's the Chargers at the Chiefs. I think it's Sunday night. Should be a good one. Get some Collinsworth. really on Mahomes' hog, and Herbert's too. Yeah, guys fucking love Herbert.
It's true.
Yeah, Herbert is he's done kind of nothing, and like people just fucking they love him. They're like, look at this throw. It's one of those things I don't feel like makes a whole lot of sense. So we're gonna get a lot of that in this game, and the Chiefs are gonna win by like 2 somehow,
They're gonna win by what?
by like 2 points somehow.
I can see that. I can see the Chiefs losing this game because the Chargers have figured out how to win games where they don't lose like the Chargers do.
Yeah,
So
the
if it
Chiefs
comes
are
out of
just
that
gonna win some.
situation, I can see it. I think the game being in Kansas City obviously is going to favor Kansas City. Um, but I don't know. I don't know if Kansas City covers.
No, they're not gonna go. They're gonna win somehow. It's a fact.
I don't know if they win. I think it's. I think it's going to be closer than some people expect it to be.
No, they're gonna win.
All
They're
right.
gonna win.
My game, not particularly. Oh, yes, I'm gonna say.
No.
Okay. My game, not particularly a fun game on paper, but I just want to see. I just want to see Jameis see what he does. Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's favored 6.5. Pittsburgh should win this game, but the last time they played, Jameis just had that unbelievable snow game. Um, Pittsburgh is, I don't know. I mean, there it seems like vibes are high. Mike Tomlin's coaching well. Offense is looking a little bit better. I think Russ Wilson is just, I don't know. Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's bad. I don't know if it's play calling. I don't know what's going on there. Jameis, like he is the X factor in this game. If he comes out and he plays the same way he did first game with less mistakes, um, they could definitely win again. But like Pittsburgh should win this game, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm done with Jameis. I'm tired of Jameis. Everyone's on him. He's a literal rapist. I'm done with him.
Okay.
But yeah, the Steelers should win this game.
All right, you want to wrap up with our picks?
Yep. I won last week. You did not. I'm 6-4. You're 4-6. Some people are saying I'm sharp. I have the Bills minus 3.5 at the LA Rams. The Rams suck. This is free money. Bills minus 3.5.
Yeah, I can see that. I think Bills should cover. No problem there. For mine, very mean things you're saying about my record. I feel like I'm just, not a lot of good picks to have for me to have left over. So that I don't know what my excuse is, but I don't think I'm that bad.
Yep.
But anyways, my pick, Las Vegas Raiders at Tampa Bay Bucks over 46.5. Brock Bowers versus Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans and Bucky Irving. I just feel like it should be a high scoring game, right?
Yeah, it does seem like it should be. Yeah. It seems
All
like the
right.
Bucks should score a lot.
The Bucks should score a lot, and Brock Bowers should get at least 2 touchdowns in.
Yeah, so Brock Bowers locked for 2 touchdowns.
Maybe that'd be a prop. I'll put it on the side, but I want to say that the over is looking good on this one. Too bad. I mean, like Raiders bad team, but Brock Bowers is the number 1 receiver right now, and he's a tight end.
Yeah, I don't hate that. That's one of your picks I like. I usually dissect yours a little bit because they're bad, as evidenced by your record. But I do like that one.
Okay. All right, guys, let's take a break, and then we come back. We're going to wrap up the show with some old men yelling at clouds and conspiracy corner. All right, guys, now we're back. We're going to wrap up the show. A lot to talk about to wrap the show up. Actually, what I've been looking forward to more than
Yeah.
sports, even though we are a sports podcast. Let's start off with a new segment. New segment alert. Old man yelling at cloud. Um, Stu loves yelling at clouds. He's just now entering old man territory, so his takes have gotten even crazier. But as long as I've known him, he always probably
I got
acts 10 to 15 years older than his physical age. But now it's they're both catching up rapidly. And then I guess I'm kind of getting there too. So I might agree a little bit more with some of his takes. But what's the first topic you want to cover today?
uh, I'm
First off,
kind of
do you agree with what I just said? Accurate?
yeah, for the most part.
Okay, good.
Um, yeah, I feel like I need to go after Walmart and Target. I hate them. They've gotten worse. Uh, this is the real old man yells at cloud. I feel like they used to be better, and I feel like it's a real like back in my day. Like these stores used to be put together, and now whenever I go into one of these things, there's just like everything is half stocked. There's like fucking boxes out everywhere. There's employees standing around doing nothing. Everything's a mess, and you can't find anything. And I hate it so much. The other thing I really hate, and this is specific to this time of year, is so they put out all their Christmas stuff. Number one, the thing I've noticed, especially this year, is they put out their Christmas stuff. They put it out like the week before Thanksgiving. And then like their fall Thanksgiving stuff is already on clearance during Thanksgiving week. And then I just went earlier this week because I buy the same thing from my wife every year, a different kind of ornament, a specific one. And I go to buy that. I'm going into Target just to buy that. And they don't have it. And not only do they don't have it, all their Christmas stuff is like half stocked and there's like nothing left. And it was like December 4th. There's just boxes everywhere. Everything's disorganized. Nothing's in place. They don't have anything. The other thing that pissed me off, during the holiday season, they closed their self-checkout lines for theft. So you have to wait in a fucking line to check out. It's annoying as hell. Just everything sucks. They have fake sales. Nothing works right. It's busy. It's all terrible. The clothes are just like a fucking mess. No one is organizing them. I'm just like, if I ran one of these stores, it would be better. That's all I have to say. They don't do anything. These stores don't function anymore. So I had to go to Target and Walmart and another place to look for this thing, and they didn't fucking have it. So I just had to buy it on Amazon. And then at the end of it, I was like, why didn't I just buy this on Amazon and save myself the trouble? Because these places are terrible.
Verbal meme. What's his face? I can't think of what movie that's from, but who's the actor? Kind of a bad guy. This is the end. Pineapple Express. James Franco. Verbal meme. James Franco. Noose around his head, looking over towards you, saying "First time?" Question mark. Because these are all problems that have existed. They exist in other retail spaces.
They're
I
getting
think
worse, though, right?
this is just capitalism, man. This is just consumerism, capitalism, all the above. This shit happens. It's all about bottom you know, their bottom number and their margins, whatever it's gonna take for these
So like,
corporations to make a shit ton of money. But the problem
I
is
have
consumers, obviously not you, but consumers
yeah, they
still
don't
give
fucking
them
care.
enough money where they can continue doing it. Like we could
It
sit here and
is.
complain, but the thing is, you still went to Target and you still went
Well,
to
I think
Walmart, and there's people, and you may have not bought anything, but people who still go there have the same complaints as you and still spend money. And it's enough of people who do that that keeps these companies profitable to continue fucking people. Um,
so. I have two questions for you.
yeah.
It, has it been the same for you, where like whenever you go to a store, like everything is half stocked? I can't tell if that's just because I'm out west in a small town, or if that's just how everything is. Because it was the same way when I lived in Salt Lake. Like everything, every single place is like half stocked. They just don't have shit.
Um, no, I definitely think it's weird because I definitely think like post COVID, like
Yeah, it like there's just less stuff in the stores, right?
there's less stuff. Like even places that I usually like shopping at, it's gotten worse. Like Publix has always been our grocery store, and like
Yeah, Publix is
most
the
of the
worst fucking
time,
place in the world. I could do a whole rant on Publix. Publix is the fucking worst. It's not a fucking pleasure. I hate
but it used
Publix.
to be. It really used to be, and like
No, it
before, like
didn't. They just hire white people that smile at you. Same. It's
no,
exactly what Chick-fil-A does. That's exactly what they fucking do. You can't deny it. They hire white people that smile at you, and that's
listen,
all they do.
you don't even let me finish.
Sorry. I hate
I
Publix.
yes, I'm very tolerant, but I'm also very cognizant of making sure, like, hey, like, trying to get my return on investment and make sure, like, like, is it actually worth it, or like, am I just paying for convenience? Blah blah. I try to be very mindful of that stuff. Um, Typically, Publix, like growing up, Publix used to be good no matter which Publix you kind of went to, and then it started turning into like as an adult, like you go to certain Publixes and you get a different experience depending on the neighborhood and how they're performing. Now, like it's a crapshoot when you go to a Publix, even in like you feel like in a decent part of town or whatever, and like it still could be kind of shitty. So I think this is just it. This happens like anytime companies get big and they expand, it's hard to like maintain that. Like you know, whenever they start franchising and they start getting bigger and bigger, like it's hard to maintain the same level of a customer experience and pricing and stuff if you're like a smaller place. Um, Amazon continues to succeed because they don't have the overhead of having all those employees when you retail like it, and they're able to adjust prices a lot quicker. Well, like if you adjust the price at Target, like people still have to go around and like change prices and stuff. I feel like, and Publix
Yeah.
is the same way, and like there's that other stuff like Amazon. They just hit a couple buttons and they can adjust that price. So like simple stuff like that, I feel like
Yeah. But you can't. It did start with COVID. You think where like just there's less shit. Like you go somewhere and
yeah,
it's like something you've bought like the stupid ornament I buy. I buy the same thing every single year, and this year they just don't have it.
like a more
And
obvious like a more obvious difference I've seen is like I don't know how much you do with electronics, but like I go to Best Buy for work and for personal time, and like Best Buy is the only like wide available like electronic store left, right? And the alternative is literally going to Amazon or online, but like then you're
yeah,
waiting for shipping. But like there's stuff that I felt like I used to be able to go to Best Buy and like pick up like that you need right away, and not like none of it's in stock anymore. Like
yeah,
even just like when not out of peak time, and I'd like post COVID, it's been terrible. Like and like Best Buy has tried to be better about it. Like they've added more selection, which is cool. Like now they sell a lot of brands and stuff that you can only buy like online. They stock it in store. They just don't have a lot of it, right? So like they're giving options, but they're not able to keep it in
yeah.
stock. So at least I see like companies like Best Buy like trying to alleviate it. But like I think it's just it's a global problem. Like post COVID, whatever is happening with like I don't know how
It's
to
it's
logistics or whatever like is bad.
it's one of those things like when I was in Florida recently, like my parents just needed like a few cables or something, like charging
Yeah,
cables. And I forgot where we're at, but like the selection they had was like I was like, how do they not just have fucking a USB-C
correct.
cable? Like how do they
Yeah,
not just have like a regular one? Like they have one that's like a foot long. How is that
yeah,
the only option they have in stock?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. No,
so
exactly.
part's annoying. The second part is you've worked in retail. I've worked in retail. We
Yeah,
both know that. Um, you straighten shit up and you did shit, and if you didn't do it, your boss yelled at you. That doesn't happen anymore. It's just nothing is ever put together.
yeah. I
It's
agree.
it's just nothing is ever put together. Like I don't know how to describe it other than that. Like no, like you go in someplace and like nothing is organized and like I nothing's put together. I don't get it.
But I mean, like, I feel like we worked at the same place together, had the same bosses and stuff, and like we worked in an outlet mall, and we got to see like other stores around the same time we worked. Like, I felt like that store was run differently than other places. Because even during our time working in retail, if you walked like a couple stores down during the holidays, like that store was a mess and they had the same amount of resources that we
Yeah.
did. So I think like yeah, like who your management is matters. Like we had some real anal managers, you know, which but like being an adult now makes sense because it's like now I care about consuming. Like I'll go to a store that's a little bit more put together and it makes shopping a little bit easier versus just like trying to
Yeah.
like wade through piles of stuff to figure out what I need. Like, you know, like I goes back to Best Buy. I went to Best Buy and online it said something was in stock. And a lot of times I don't like doing curbside because it takes forever. Like I rather if it has it in stock, I will go find it myself
Yeah.
and just check out. And it said something was in stock. I went to exactly where it was supposed to be, and it was just a jumble of stuff. And I had to
Yeah.
call for help. And the lady came over and she's like, "Holy shit! Like, why is this like such a mess?" And then she couldn't find it. And then literally, I was like, "Hey, I'll look in this part of the store. You look in this part of the store, and then we'll meet see if we find it." So like we kind of split up and we're looking for it, and she ended up finding it in a random place.
Yeah.
And like I gave her a bunch of kudos. I was like, "Wow, like thanks for going above and beyond. I'm sorry that you have to do this, like to find help me." But like I gave her the appreciation because I realized it's like not her fault, right? And I think that's a thing that I want to stress is like when us as individuals go out and do the shopping and like it's not like a good experience, try not to blame the fucking individual employee
Oh
that
yeah.
you interact with about that issue. Like it's a corporate problem. Like, and if it's a management problem, someone in corporate should be on top of their bad having bad management at that store. So I try not to blame the individual people, you know, and I always give them a lot
So,
more grace. But
yeah. So like when I was at Walmart looking for a fucking Christmas ornament, like they had nothing. Like the shelves were like maybe like a quarter of the way filled. And I was looking up above because they had fucking boxes, and I'm like reading the boxes up above and like trying to find if the thing I need is up there and going through it, and like they just have a bunch of shit, just no one has put it down.
yeah,
Like I don't get it. I don't know what happened to America.
wow, this is stark contrast from how Cal Cooper I feel like would respond.
You
Um,
know.
Speaking of Cal, let's get his opinion
Yeah.
on something. Let's move on. We're gonna move on to conspiracy corner.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like I should be more shocked by this, but this has happened a couple of times. I feel like in recent history, and like this one is insane, and I kind of want to talk about it a lot because it's very interesting. But I'm also just not shocked that this happened. So the CEO of United Insurance, or like I don't think he's all. Is he CEO of all of United Insurance or just like a subsidiary?
I I don't know. But he's the
Yeah, that's
CEO.
another thing. He's a big, yeah, he's a CEO, big time guy. He was walking through New York City in the morning. He was walking to a trade show, and I think trade show started at 8 o'clock. And this is
Yeah.
like around
It was
6 o'clock.
wasn't it like some like investor meeting or something?
I heard it was a trade show. I don't know, whatever it was. But he's like strolling through New York City.
I
Pretty
think he left
popular
his
there.
hotel room.
Yeah. And yeah, like 6 o'clock in the morning, he's by himself. And he got assassinated on the side of the street. There were it was caught on camera, like surveillance camera. There were people like walking around. There was like cars driving around. It was like not like it was like in a remote area. The guy's walking on through camera frame, the CEO, and a masked man appears like off the street on a sidewalk. He's got a big gun with a silencer on it. He's got a hoodie up, mask, backpack, and he shoots the CEO. Like I think he shot 3 times. Hit him once in the back, hit him once in the leg, and I think the third shot missed. And then the guy like strolls off and like, you know, they
He
still
he
haven't
hopped on a
identified.
bike. Yeah, he hopped on a bike and just went down the street.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he hopped on
Uh,
a city bike.
yeah, I think they did. I did see something that they found his backpack apparently.
So I think they have
Kind of.
found a bunch of stuff. So the stuff they found so far. Oh, anyways, the CEO. To go back to the whole story, the CEO got rushed to the hospital. Um, I think, yeah, he ended up dying. Unfortunately, whatever. Sucks to be him. I think he's a bad guy, but we can talk about that later. Um, and then they kind of start figuring out what happened. So I guess the surveillance footage that the shooting was found, it's like tied to the police. So the police saw it happening, and they kind of basically dispatched like the police
Mhm.
like to the scene immediately. They like because you could see it, like they were like on radio, hey, like we just saw a shooting, blah blah. And so even with that quick response, the guy ends up getting away. Um, and they still haven't identified him. But now, like they're combing through and kind of tracking, and they've found his face without a mask on at a hotel that he was staying at, and I guess he was like flirting with the hotel person. They found his backpack. I want to say they found his gun. I don't know if it's been confirmed or not yet, but I know doing research, I found out what gun it is. It's actually kind of crazy what kind of gun he used. Um, and then they found the shell casings, the 3 rounds that he shot, and each shell casing has something etched into it, and it has I think deny, depose, and what was the last thing I can't remember.
I can't,
Blanking
it
on
was
it.
D something.
Yeah, I can't remember. Hold on, I gotta look this up.
It's like,
Oh
what
man,
kind of what kind of
Def-
gun was it? Because it was a 22, but he had a silencer. I feel like you can't. Am I correct that you can't just buy silencers? Aren't they like pretty controlled?
so hold on before I go into that because I do know some information about that. Okay, it said defend,
Defend. Yeah.
yeah, and um, that's significant because I guess it ties into like what how insurance companies typically work. And I know this because I worked in insurance, so I have a little bit of insider knowledge. But like insurance companies try not to spend money, and
Yeah.
there's how they spend money is actually paying out on claims that people make. Again, like you have some type of issue, you have insurance. Insurance is supposed to offset that cost to
Yep.
you and make it more affordable. But they don't like doing that, so they deny claims based on bullshit. They like lobby to get laws changed. They do everything they can to not essentially hold up their end of the bargain. And it fucks a lot of people over. And in the healthcare and health insurance, it causes people to die and like people to lose loved ones and stuff. So there's that. Um, this guy also apparently has like some fraud history and some other stuff where he just like is known to fuck people over, and I think he was being criminally investigated for stuff. So
Yeah. So I did see something about like the claim denial rate of United Insurance compared to like everyone else, and it was like
yeah,
triple United's
yeah,
denial rate was like triple everyone else's. And I don't know if I've ever told you, but I had the idea at one point to start my own insurance company. Where it's, do you need insurance, like just so you have it, like for some reason, like car insurance by law you have to have it,
right.
health insurance you kind of have to have it. Do you need insurance for some reason? Because I will sell it to you under the premise that I will deny every claim you make. And it turns out that's essentially what United was doing.
Yeah, I mean there are insurance companies that literally will operate just the way you do.
Yeah,
Like
I remember I
get
told that to someone.
insurance companies, and they're a little more obvious about it. Like, hey, like we're gonna charge you the bare minimum, and you're gonna get nothing from it, but you
Yeah,
meet compliance, right? You comply with
yeah.
whatever you do, and you take on the risk of
I
that. Like that stuff exists, but like from a United Insurance, which is a big player in the insurance market, like you expect better, right? They have a lot
yeah.
of people
Well,
who are
well, the
forced
other
health insurance.
the other issue is that it's not like car insurance where you get to pick what you have. It's
Yeah.
you're employed by someone, and that's the fucking insurance you get.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Like it's easier to like shop around for car insurance than it is to like shop around jobs to find good health insurance. Um, so yeah, so why we're mentioning all this stuff? Like he obviously has a lot of enemies. Like he's got
Yeah,
enemies. Like, there are people that don't like him and like what he
it's.
stands for and what he represents.
I
Just
did
as a
see
matter of
his
fact,
wife.
he created a bunch of enemies.
His wife said they've been getting death threats, and I think that morning there was also a bomb threat at his house.
Right. And like this is not me justifying, we're not condoning this action, but like it doesn't surprise me stuff like this happens. And like it's crazy because more people are getting emboldened to take matters in their own hands because it's not like these companies don't have lawsuits, don't have other things that you go through the normal channels to try to rectify. Like some people just feel like, oh well, fuck it. Like maybe this will be the biggest change, and they go on and try to take out a CEO. Um, you know, it's I don't know. I the before we talk about the gun aspect of it, I also work in security and have background in security. So I do think it's shocking that he didn't have a bodyguard. He didn't have a security detail. Um, from my understanding, how usually corporate security works, a lot of these corporations have an internal corporate security team, and like typically, like if it's not one of them like protecting the CEO, they like hire help. So I'm kind of confused on why this guy didn't have a security detail. Now I know a lot of companies are going to start investing in more security for their staff and their stuff. So um, definitely going to see that. I already have seen an uptick in that just because I work in the space and I see, you know, what companies and what individuals spend money on security and what who doesn't. But I think that's going to be an uptick in that. As for the gun aspect of it, so I mean, let's be frank, gun laws don't make sense. The gun that the guy was using was 100% illegal to own and possess in New York City unless you go through some insane regulations to pick it up. A silencer, any individual, I feel like is I think it's allowed to own a silencer in America if your local state laws don't bar you, but you have to go through a process to do it where you get vetted. There's a whole process. Like you can own it. It usually costs a lot of money, but or you can just illegally obtain it. That is also a thing. You can just
Yeah.
illegally obtain it. But this specific gun, because if you saw the shooting, right, you saw that every time he shot the gun, he had to re-rack the gun.
Mhm.
So a lot of people that I read were like saying that like that looks like an inexperienced shooter. He doesn't know what he's doing. Blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense. But then someone figured out what gun he was using, and that's exactly how you're supposed to shoot it. And it's called a BNT VP9, and it's like I think it comes suppressed, so the gun only can be suppressed, but it's a one shot gun, and it's literally was like I don't know what the original intention of why it was created, but it was used historically as an assassin's gun because it's like a purpose built, quiet to take somebody out gun or take something out. So the guy obviously knew what he was doing when he purchased this gun, and that's exactly how you shoot it. You shoot it once, and you have to rack it, and it feeds another round, and that So he obviously trained with it and knew how to use it properly. It's a very specific gun to be using for a very specific task. Um, but it adds to the conspiracy mill, right? So this guy has a bunch of enemies that could be just regular people. Um, they could have hired help to do this. This could be a foreign company or foreign asset. Like this could be a bunch of shit to take that. Like it's like this guy had a lot of fucking enemies and a lot of people that would want to take him out. Like it could be competitors. Like I don't know. It's insane to find out who is actually going to be. And I feel like even when you find out who this guy is, like it still not might not be the complete truth.
Yeah. I did see somebody, I think it was on CNN, like one of their talking heads they got, like experts to come in, said that the guy may have hired the hitman himself.
Oh, to like fake his death or like should have him kill himself killed.
Yeah, I don't
Like, I
know
mean,
why.
yeah, like if this guy thinks that hey, like I'm gonna die, I'm gonna get killed, and like how do I make that beneficial? Like people think that way, right? So he probably has protections and stuff where like in insurance policies that like his family will get paid if he dies, but like typically there's stipulations where like you can't kill yourself or blah blah blah. So
Yeah.
he could have literally set something up where he gets killed and his family gets all that money. I don't know. I mean, there's
And I guess
a crazy amount of possibilities.
I feel like it's just going to be like someone that was mad about an insurance claim. I feel like it's just going to be that. I don't know.
So, when normal people don't get assassinated on the street like this, right? Like this is an assassination, like there was premeditated. Normal people don't happen like this. When it happens to someone that's a big figure that has a lot of money to them and behind them and blah blah, like it convolutes so
Mhm.
many things that you don't know what the motivation was. Like obviously this was not a random killing, but like anytime there's a lot of money and a death involved, like for me, it's hard to really believe whatever is being put out there. Because law enforcement, if you look at it from a law enforcement standpoint, their job is to literally just find out who did this and make sure that's taken care of. I don't think beyond that they're gonna spend the resources to dig into like what actually happened. You know,
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this guy had the Epstein list.
could be, but like something I compared to like the Vegas shooting, right? Like the Vegas guy who killed a bunch of people at the music festival. Like, if you look at the totality of facts and look at his background, none of it makes sense. It doesn't make sense at all. And the FBI report that they were in charge of finding the final conclusion is basically come up with, it's like, hey, like these are all the facts. We really don't know what his motivation is. Like they could not determine what his motivation was for doing that crime, and they're gonna stop investigating. It's like not a priority to them to figure out what his motivation is. So that makes you believe that like he could have done this on his own, or something else influenced it. Like, or it's not the true story. I don't know. That's where conspiracy theories come out. It's like, is it worth spending the resources to find the actual truth to something?
Uh, yeah, I feel like the actual truth though is probably just oh, it's Occam's razor. It's probably just the simplest explanation.
Okay. What's
Because
Cal
it's
Cooper's take on this?
so I told you before, Cal Cooper is very conflicted on this one. Because on one hand, as Cal, I love business, love CEOs, love big business. Uh, we can't be attacking CEOs like CEOs. I mean, they're God's chosen to a certain extent, so we can't have that. On the other hand, RFK has told me that these insurance companies are bad and that some of this health stuff is actually bad. So I'm like, I don't know. But then on the other hand, I love gun violence. So I'm just like, ugh. But then I'm like, it's CEO. And just like, as far as I'm concerned, like the list of people I care about getting shot, it's like, that'd be most outrageous. Like Trump, Jesus, police officers, CEOs. Way down on the list is teachers and school children. Uh, so I'm just like, man, like this is horrible. But also maybe they are bad guys. But I don't know. I don't know what to do. We can't attack business like this, but
So
I don't
Cal
know.
was very conflicted. What you're saying.
I'm torn. I'm torn in every direction.
So Cal, I'm speaking to Cal now.
Yeah.
Do you empathize with the people who get screwed over by people like the CEO of United Insurance?
No, unless it happens directly to me.
Okay. Just
Yeah.
want to get that established. Okay.
Yeah. So again, like I'm torn. Like I understand. Like this guy has done an incredible job boosting shareholder value, and his life should be protected at all costs. I mean, he's like I said, one of God's chosen. Uh, on the other hand, God damn it, I love guns. And you said it's a pretty sweet gun.
You should look
So
it up.
I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think.
BTVP9. You should look it up.
I don't know
I
what
think
to
it's
think.
Belgium. I think it's Belgian. Yeah.
Do Europeans make guns?
Oh, the Europeans make some of the best guns. It's crazy.
Jesus
They've been
Christ.
making guns longer than Americans, though.
Yeah, yeah. What's happened to this country?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Cal's real confused here. I don't know. I don't know what to think. I'll wait till whatever Trump says I agree with.
Wait for the facts to come out, right?
Yeah, yeah. Wait for all the facts. This was probably liberals. How about that? But they don't want to report that. It was probably a trans person. That's what Cal's thinking right now.
Okay. What's Stu think of this?
Uh, I think it's very weird. And like I said, I think I don't think there's going to be some sort of epidemic of CEOs getting shot and killed. If I had to guess, I would say if they figure this out, it will turn out to be the business dealings of this company seem like they're very, very, very shady. And I would imagine that it's someone that worked in the company that had their insurance, that had a family member get a claim denied, that ended up dying, and that had not necessarily a direct working relationship with the CEO, but like was basically like in the know of how the company operated and what they wanted to do, and got very, very mad about that and decided to either hire a hitman or carry this out themselves.
Okay, could be. I could definitely see that being a
Yeah, I
possibility.
mean that seems like the most reasonable thing, right?
Yeah, that or like I just think like the bare minimum or how it's going to be portrayed. I don't know. I really am very conflicted about this because I feel like there's more to the story than
Just like
what
Cal.
we told. Just like Cal, but not that crazy. Um, but I feel like at bare minimum, it's going to be like this person lost a family member or is sick themselves because of a decision made by the insurance company, and they became obsessed and they looked it up. I mean, like companies already started doing this, but like you can find out who these CEOs are. You can find out a lot of information
Oh
online
yeah,
about them. Like it's very easy to like look these people up. You can look up on LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn is like could be a good or bad thing, depending on what your position is. Um, so yeah, I mean, like they were able to find like that's why find it. I guess it's find it hard to believe that this guy didn't have a security detail, and I don't know if that's his decision or not, but like typically I know there's companies that exist that don't have the amount of risk looking at a risk assessment. Like this guy has a bunch of risk associated to him being alive and moving freely. And like there's people who exist that don't have the same type of risk that invest in more security than this guy did. So I don't know
I'm
what
gonna call
happened.
my I'm gonna call my shot. Someone had a kid. The kid died after a claim was denied. That person worked for United Insurance, and there was definitely like as this was happening, there was like a conference call where the CEO, like an all hands on deck call with everyone. The CEO was like, we gotta do this to make more money and make sure we're paying out too much in claims, so we gotta cut more, and that sprung all this, and that's what happened.
All right, you're going very, very specific.
I think I'm right. A detective Stu,
Okay.
basically a cop. I'm better than cops.
Yeah.
I should have one of my own TV shows where the cops call me in to help solve crimes
Yeah, I don't understand that
because
show
I'm way better at them.
with what's her name? Caitlin
Yeah, the lady
McElhaney.
from It's Always Sunny.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that's one of those. That's like a shtick. They come out with a show like that like every 6 months.
I mean it is based in some reality. Everyone uses consultants, but
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just like it's Sherlock Holmes, but just like slightly different.
yeah,
And
exactly.
it's a reboot of Sherlock Holmes because we can't do anything original. Another old man
Yeah,
yells at cloud.
exactly. Next topic for old man yelling at cloud. All right, I think that's it for our pod.
Yeah. On that note, I'm very excited to go see Mufasa: The Lion King in theaters soon.
Were you just doing free ads now?
Yeah. Well, just we don't do anything original.
Okay.
Moana 2 is also out.
2 Disney movies. We're gonna get canceled by Disney. All right, guys. We're going to podcast there. Jesus Christ, are you okay?
Yeah, sorry, my Miami Hurricanes Bigfoot fell.
You gotta figure out how to make this video so we can put this on YouTube.
Yeah.
You save it as video?
Not this one, but I can in the future.
I'm getting there when you masturbate, think about my tongue. Oh, your clit and switching back and forth. Switching back and forth from my dick to my my tongue. Dick to my tongue. Dick to my tongue. Dick to my tongue. Switching.